On each case. With respect to bond on Mr. Castro is 52 years old. He has lived in the area for 39 years. He is on unemployment compensation, and to the best of my knowledge, he has no convictions for felonies or serious misdemeanors.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Murphy.
Brian Murphy, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office, for the record. Despite what the defense has asserted to you.
I want to show you the scene just moments ago inside the courtroom in Cleveland, Ohio. That is Ariel Castro making what we believe will be a very brief appearance in court. These are live pictures for you now of Ariel Castro now in court. Let's listen in if we can hear some of the instructions going on in the courtroom.
Found and restrained and sexually assaulted, basically never free to leave this residence. Just as suddenly, unexpectedly, and quite frankly, inexplicably as they disappeared, they reemerged. Thankfully, miraculously, 3 days ago at the home of Mr. Castro. That's a home that served as Mr. Castro's residence for his prison to these three women and eventually that child. Today, the situation is turned, Your Honor. Mr. Castro stands before you a captive, in captivity, a prisoner. The women are free to resume their lives that were interrupted, and also with the promise and a hope that justice will be served. To ensure that justice is served, to protect the victims and the community that Mr. Castro manipulated and deceived, the state is asking that bond be set at $5 million cash surety in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, it's ordered that you have no contact with the victims or their families, whether he's out on bail or not.
Thank you very much. 4 cases. Bond will be set at $2 million on each case. $2 million cash surety on each case. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
And that is all. A very brief court appearance for Ariel Castro being led now out of that municipal court in Cleveland. Let me just explain to you the voices and what you just heard transpire. Ariel Castro making his first appearance on the 4 charges of kidnapping and the 3 counts of rape. And you saw him signing, he was read his rights, he was read the charges against him, and you heard the voice there of the prosecutor. His name is Brian Murphy. He's the assistant prosecutor attorney at the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. The blonde woman you see in this picture right now, the live pictures, who was acting for Ariel Castro, she's the public defender. Her name is Kathleen Demetz. And the judge you see there at her bench is Lauren Moore, who's with the Cleveland Municipal Court. There she is there in close-up. And what you heard the prosecutor saying was really a very brief capsule of the case against Ariel Castro, allowing for justice to be pursued. He said they're asking for $5 million to be set in bond, and that Castro have no contact whatsoever with the victims' families. The matter now adjourned, obviously. You heard the judge rule, though, $2 million surety on each case. That means $2 million on each of the 4 counts against him, as I interpret it. And that's the word that we are hearing. But a very, very, very brief appearance as we take a look at what's been happening there. David Common joining me. Now, David wasn't inside. David's outside the municipal court. And David, you wouldn't have seen him. He's been in jail there, so perhaps there's not even an entrance at any point. No sign of activity of his being brought in. So tell us what you've been seeing there and what you're hearing as far as what just transpired inside.
So, Heather, we understand he was actually brought into the courthouse from the police jail overnight or late last night. You see him in that jail attire there, head down, chin right into his chest, essentially trying to hide his face, it seems. A lot of cameras in there, both still and video, and and he is the man of interest. His two brothers, who you will recall were arrested with him, actually are in the courtroom as well. They're no longer suspects in this particular case. They are facing outstanding misdemeanor charges. They'll probably be dealt with later on. But remember, it is really just a sole suspect situation. Ariel Castro, the 52-year-old that we've just seen in that brief court appearance, the prosecutor was asking for $5 million bond. It seems impossible from what we know of Ariel Castro that he'd be able to come up with that money, or that anybody around him would be able to. There's also some question about what bail was set at. The judge came back and said $2 million on each charge, or on each case, rather.
David, let me just interrupt. What we've confirmed is $6 million overall. Bond is now set at $6 million confirmed, so even beyond what the prosecutor requested.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. I mean, it seems very unlikely that he'll be able to get out. I don't want to say that 100%, but he will likely remain in custody. And he has been apparently cooperative with police. He waived his Miranda rights. He spoke with them. We don't know if he's given an outright confession, but he has been providing investigators with information ever since he was arrested. And that was just in the hours after, as we know now, Amanda Berry made it to that door. The first chance, prosecutors believe, in 10 years that an interior door inside that house of horrors was left unlocked. She was able to get to the front door itself, still partly locked, but she was able to scream for help. Help came, and with it, Heather, her eventual freedom.
And leading to this court appearance today, and David, just hold on the line. Let me just again recap for people. So $6 million, the bond set for Ariel Castro for the 4 kidnapping and 3 rape charges. And David, quite right, saying that the court was very forceful when the 2 brothers appeared, saying that they were not involved in this particular matter. There were no charges against them for this particular House of Horrors case, as it's become known. But David, back to what we've learned about Ariel Castro in the days since Amanda Berry made her break for freedom, part of which, as you said, waiving his Miranda rights and telling police much of the story. And also, we found out about a suicide note that he is reportedly left behind, which talked about perhaps a motivation here, a sex addiction. And he sort of said that it was so unfortunate that the young women then, the teenagers, accepted rides in his car home.
Yeah, and that does seem to be how they were lured in, that in the case of each one of them, they seem to have been offered rides in his car. Amanda Berry returning from work at Burger King, Michelle Knight, similar situation, Gina De Jesus, similar situation again. And all 3 of these women were then taken to that house at different times, but over really about a 2-3 year period, and kept for upwards of a decade inside that house, only going outside, we understand, on 2 occasions, and then only out to the garage. So they really have not been outside. When you see the pictures of Gina De Jesus returning home, and we were there yesterday, you get the sense of the fear that she must have just being outside, really for the first time for even a small amount of time in a decade. And she's just 24 years old now. She was 23. She was 14 when she was kidnapped. She remains a very young woman who has gone through unspeakable horrors. Horrors we're now beginning to get a sense of. Police reports indicating multiple beatings inside that house, and beatings to induce spontaneous abortions because Ariel Castro did not appear, according to these allegations, to want to have children in the house, except the child of Amanda Berry. Now, he is suspected and presumed to be the father. The DNA test will actually have to confirm that. The daughter is 6 years old, and she is why there is 4 counts of kidnapping involved. The 4th being that 6-year-old daughter. Though she was born in captivity, she did not have free will to be able to leave that property, and so it is considered kidnapping by prosecutors, Heather.
All right, David, thank you so much for all of that. David Common, just outside the courthouse in Cleveland, as we've watched that breaking story, Ariel Castro making his first appearance before the judges, and bond set $2 million each count. Now, we want to carry on with some of our coverage of the story again, this whole miraculous component to the return of the 3 missing women back to their families after 10 years. The families of Amanda Berry and Gina DeJesus have seen those scenes of a reunion, but Michelle Knight's mother is still waiting for her turn. Brenda Knight, as we told you yesterday, flew from Florida to Cleveland to be by her daughter's side. Michelle Knight is still in hospital recovering from her time in captivity. Her mother says she hasn't spoken to her yet.
Adrian, call me.
Whatever happened between us, if something did, I hope it heals. Because I really want to take her back to Florida with me. I don't want to leave her up in Cleveland. I really do miss her because she was my daughter and she was my best friend.
Brenda Knight says Michelle is likely angry at the world because she thought she would never be found.